What's up, everybody? Sean Pierce Johnson here. It's just 2 p.m. on a fine, slightly cold Southern California autumn afternoon, and I've been having some fun with some new gear. Thanks to my new friends, and well, I've been friends with them for some time, but thanks to my friends Robert Keeley and Mickey Katz from Distortion Brothers, I have come into these fine pieces right here. We have the Keeley Electronics Dark Side and the Catalinbread Echorec. The cool thing, obviously, is that you can kind of tell we're going to be focusing on the Echo side of the Dark Side comparatively to the Catalinbread Echorec. And why exactly is that? Well, for those of you who don't know, the Catalinbread Echorec and the Dark Side are both seeking to replicate the Benson Echorec that David Gilmour famously used. There's some slight similarities between them, but there's also some differences, and I think since the Echorec is kind of starting to get some chatter about it, especially starting with the Echorec and bringing that into the fold, and now with the Dark Side coming out, a lot of people are starting to hear those sounds for the very first time. So we're going to just check out some sounds and compare and contrast. I am going to be referencing this, which is the, there we go, it's in focus, cool. This is the Dark Side's tape head matrix sheet that comes inside your Dark Side, which is very handy when you're experimenting and playing around with. And this is also on the Keeley website, so if you want to reference this or check out some information before you buy it, you can reference that and have a blast. I'm also going to be referencing something on the screen. You probably can't see it right there, but on that one, this one that my hand is right in front of right there, that is the Echorec, the pedal Echorec tape head matrix. So I'm going to be referencing those as we go along this. I am going to say that the Keeley one is a little bit more concisely laid out and makes a little bit more sense, but we're just going to compare and contrast and have some fun. I'm going to play my stock Mexican, well, not stock, there's some aftermarket cosmetics on it, but electronically it is bone stock, you know, nothing done to it. I'm running into a Pod 2.0 with a twin reverb model on it, out the pod into the Keeley Dark Side, and again, we're just going to focus on the tape echo side, then into the Echorec, and then out into an Avalon VT737 mic pre, and straight into a PreSonus Studio 192 interface, and it's coming out my studio speakers. So if I hit a little hard, gets kind of crunchy. Put it up again. So I'm going to start at the first program selection, and I'm going to put all knobs at noon. Dark Side. Echorec. Immediately what I notice is that the Echorec has a much longer delay time on program 1. So what I'm hearing is that the Dark Side is probably a little truer to the vintage sound, if I had to guess, just based on my own observations. The Echorec is a little bit more adventurous in its tones. So I'm going to go ahead and use the tape matrix, and I'm going to go to program number 6 on the dark side. Here we go. And that has the second and third tape head, and that program on the Echorec is program number 3. Let's see. Yeah, I got it lined up. Starting with the dark side, again, all knobs 12 o'clock, just checking out the program. Echorec. Switching back to the dark side. And back to the Echorec. So also, what's noticed is that the mix knob, well, on the Keeley it's a level, on the Echorec it's a mix. So although you can get the whole 100% wet kind of deal on both, I think. Uh-oh. I don't like this. Ah. Did you guys see that? Check that out. So I have the dark side on, I have the Echorec off, but full wet. My guitar volume is all the way up, and I have this. Hi everybody. So you don't hear anything. So now I turn back the mix on the Echorec. And I get my sound back. Huh, that's very interesting. I did not anticipate that. That was kind of strange. But so far, again, what I've said earlier and what I feel like is the case, both of them are trying to do exactly the same thing. They're trying to do the whole Echorec thing. And they both sound really good. But whereas I feel like the Keeley is definitely a little bit more of a... let's see, how should I put this? Is it probably a more true recreation? The Echorec, you can get a little bit more adventurous with it, especially thanks to the tone knob. You can really make... You can make those repeats really bright, or you can just make them super dark and washy. Turn up the mix so you can hear that one a little bit better. You almost can't hear them when you're playing. You only end up hearing them listening back and once you stop playing. So the Echorec, I feel, is a little bit more experimental than the Keeley, which is a little bit more in line with probably what Gilmour had available to him. Not to say that you couldn't get super experimental if you wanted to, especially when you have all tape heads active. Dial back the mix a bit. Which is a lot of fun if you know how to control it, which that was obviously right there. That was a lot of fun. With the Echorec, if I wanted to get all the repeats, or all the tape heads for that matter, again, it's the 12th program on it. So let's see. It's got the Swell, which is basically like your feedback and your regeneration. I tend to, if I'm going to go for that kind of sound, typically going to get the repeats a little darker so that because it's a rhythmic kind of thing, you want that to happen. I'm a little afraid if I turn up the Swell too high that it's almost going to be too much. Might even chance a little bit more feedback, darken up the repeats a bit. So you can get very, very similar sounds with the two pedals. They're very close to each other. The only thing with the Keeley, and one of the reasons why I would probably recommend it as, you know, trying to think of the best possible way to say this, because they're both great pedals, and I would certainly use them live. I would certainly use them in the studio. The thing with the Echorec that makes it so good is that there are so many different things that you could do with it, especially thanks to the fact that there's a tone knob to adjust your repeats. I'll actually go ahead and jack that up so you can hear what the repeats sound like, just at full tone and really bright. So back to dry signal. And I'll use a different pickup position. Turn on the Echorec. I don't know if you can tell over the stupid iPhone mic. I should really think about getting something to get some better audio on these. But in the room, I can definitely hear that they start overloading each other, and it's not quite so pleasing at that. But then conversely, you could go and darken it up considerably, and then it almost becomes a wash, which would be really great if you had a reliable volume pedal. But since I don't have a volume pedal, I will go ahead and I will use my my volume knob. Old school, man. So you get this nifty wash effect that you can kind of, if you let the swell control go, you turn off the pedal, if you got trails going, find the point where it doesn't start self-oscillating, and it's just going to kind of go, and if you can maintain a pitch of some sort within that, you could play over it. So let's try that actually. Doesn't end up working out so well, but here I am trying to do things right in front of you guys, and I'm embarrassing myself. Wonderful. But it's still a really cool idea to play around with. It's really flexible to be able to do that. Just with manipulating one knob on the pedal, they're both in spirit the same thing, but they can be radically different sounds just with the turn of one knob and the fact that one has one and the other doesn't. But in and of itself, both of the pedals sound really, really nice. They're both incredibly usable. I would say that if you're trying out the Echorec sound for the first time and it's something that you're not used to, I would probably recommend the Keeley over the Echorec, just so that you can get a good idea of what the basic sound is going to be. It's a good introduction. And I've already tested it out with a bunch of different guitars and through some different amplification modes, and I think that this one consistently sounds great across the board. The Echorec is one that you can definitely take your time, and you can tune it to whatever situation is called for. Don't need that much. Turn on some gain. I would turn on the big muff side of the dark side, but that that's running after my amp, and I don't think fuzz into the preamp would sound very good, unless I'll do that after this whole thing is over. Let's try one more. I'm going to go ahead and go to program 8 on the dark side, which is tape head 1 and tape head 3. And then, let's see, tape head 1 and tape head 3. Wish this was easier to read. Catalinbread, I need better labeling on this tape head matrix because I can't figure it out. Yeah, well, we're going to try it. Since I'm at, let's see, what was it? 8? I'll just go to tape head program 8 on the Echorec and see the similarities between their labeling. Again, dry. Turn off any reverb. We don't need that mess. Cool. They're fairly similar, I think. Sort of, kinda, maybe. Now, of course, this may or may not be a deal breaker for some people, but the Keeley does not have trails. The Echorec does have trails, but you can switch it off if you want. Personally, I would prefer trails. That's just me, but I do think that the Keeley sounds equally as good as the Echorec. I think they are both really fun pedals to experiment with. Drawback is that they are both on the pricier side. You know, the workstations from Keeley are, you know, hovering around the $300 range. The Echorec is $230 from Catalinbread last I checked. So, you know, cash strapped might not be so easy to get either of these. But with the Keeley, you do get 2 effects, and then in addition to the echo effect, you get flanger, rotary, phaser, univibe sounds, and the univibe sounds really good on this. And with the Echorec, you get the Echorec, but you do get a much more flexible version of the Echorec in a pedal format. You know, a very nice pedal board friendly package. There's some internal controls on here to adjust modulation and a built-in preamp. That there's some craziness that you can get into with the Echorec. So far, I mean, they're both very enjoyable effects. They're both very enjoyable to use. They sound really great. What can I really say else about them? They're similar but different, I suppose I could say. They're similar but different. So, on that subject, now that we've kind of heard the differences, let's sort of hear them in a context. You might have seen that Keeley has the, where is it? There it is. Here we go. You've seen that Keeley has the Dark Side Jam track, and yes, I did a little silly thing on that. So why don't I just go ahead and pull that up and let's have some fun. All right. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A comparison of the Keeley Dark Side and the Catalinbread Echorec. So, in summation, summation, one of those fancy words that tells you that I'm summing everything up. So, both great pedals, both sound really nice and are very easy to use once you get the hang of them. The Keeley is a little bit, I would say, less flexible than the Echorec just because of the addition of the tone knob on the Echorec. And again, we didn't mess with anything inside the pedal, it was just what you see on the pedal itself. In terms of tone, I think I like the Dark Side just a little bit better. It's worked with a bunch of different guitars outside of the Stratocaster, and it's very quick and very easy to dial in a sound that you really, really enjoy and that you're really going to want to play. Plus the fact that you get a Big Muff style fuzz, that's just kind of icing on the cake kind of thing. And then there's also the flange, the rotary, the phaser, and the Univibe. And like I said, the Univibe sounds really sweet on the Dark Side. And the Echorec, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. because there is just so much you can do with it. It takes the Echorec as a platform and then expands upon it. You're not just getting the traditional sound, you get the traditional sound, but you get sounds that the original Benson Echorec units were not going to be able to get because of the limitations of tape and the technology of the time. But now we have technology that allows us to recreate and expand upon. And that is exactly what the Echorec does. There will be demos coming in the future on separate episodes of Stompbox Saturday of each of these, where we will dive in deeply to all the features and also talk about some of the sounds and some of the things that make them special. They will each get their own due. I just want to do a little side-by-side comparison because I've been seeing a lot of people talking about the dark side, asking about the dark side, especially when it comes to the Echorec side of the pedal. And since I had two pedals in my possession at the present moment, that figured, well, why not? I'll compare them for you guys. So if you just joined in, I'm sorry, I'm done now. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go have some lunch. But this, of course, will be available for you to check out as soon as Facebook decides to post it on my profile, and you can go back and watch again. But thank you for joining in. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. There will be more things like this to come, I hope. And hope you all have a nice Wednesday afternoon. Good night.